So, are you ready to talk about the real reason why, your date nights, they're not consistent. They just don't work. You ready to talk about that? Well, you know what? You here's the rub. You get up, you plan, you dress up, you make the reservations, and you're so excited and you're hopeful and he's agreed to go out, you know, to do this date night, right? And somewhere something happens between your drink order and the drive home. Okay. And what happens is you feel more alone um, after you've left, the restaurant. You feel more alone than, you know, when you left the house. So, does that sound familiar to you? Well, if you've tried date night over and over and over again, you've tried to encourage date night, you wanted your husband to do date night with you, and it has just failed miserably, you know what? I want you to know something. It's not because, you're not trying hard enough, and it's not because you're not, I don't know, attractive anymore to your husband. It's not that your marriage is damaged, okay? And it's definitely not because connection is not possible with you. That's not it. Here's what nobody tells you about marriage when one partner is on the autism spectrum. Here it is. Traditional date nights are designed for neurotypical brains. Yes, that's what nobody tells you. And so, here's the deal. Your husband's brain is wired differently. That's why you're watching. And, when you think about, oh, we're going to have this wonderful date night, we'll go to this really romantic restaurant, low light, jazz maybe playing in the background. And, you can just see you guys smiling at one another, having this deep romantic conversation and eye contact. And that emotional give and take, that playfulness and that deep conversation, that's not going to work for you. That actually, that what I just described triggers stress for him. Mhm. It doesn't trigger excitement and all of the woo woo that it does for you. And that is what I call the dopamine gap. Yeah, the dopamine gap. And once once I understood this, dear friend, after years of feeling like, date nights, were just non-existent, like I couldn't get him to go on a date night. I wasn't attractive enough or he just wasn't interested. I felt like it was my fault. After I understood that there was a dopamine gap, everything changed. Everything changed for me. So here it is. For the neurodiverse brain, dopamine, that feel good reward chemical that happens, for him, it doesn't always fire or go off the same way in unstructured, I mean to say, situations. Okay. So like, you and I, like, we think, oh, if we have this nice little small talk over dinner, for him, that seems like work. For us, it would be enjoyable, right? For you and I. But for him, it feels like work. And sitting face to face with the pressure to connect with my wife, for him, um, that can feel like performance for him, believe it or not. And you're like, we've been married for 15 years. Seriously? Yeah. Um, but, when it comes to something brand new, or moving or movement or games with clear rules, or something that you do together, that's where their dopamine really starts to shine, or it shows up. Okay. And here's what I want you to actually hear, dear friend. Um, when his dopamine starts to light up, when it starts to fire, his defenses come down. Yeah, they come down. And that's actually when connection actually happens. Yeah, yeah. Um, and it's not because you forced him to, right? You forced this whole thing, but it's because um, you met his brain actually where it is. Okay. Does that make sense? So today I'm going to give you five ways to bond using dopamine. And a few of them might surprise you. They might surprise you because they look absolutely like nothing that you've ever been told about connection. Nothing at all. So if you're ready, let's get into it. But before we do that, I want to introduce myself. I'm Olivia. I've been in a neurodiverse marriage for over 25 years and we're going strong. And I'm here, dear friend, to help you feel seen, understood, and validated and empowered on your neurodiverse marriage journey. So let's get into the 5 ways to bond using dopamine. You ready? Let's go. So let's start with number 1, adding novelty or something brand new as a bridge. Here's the thing about trying something completely brand new together, it actually bypasses social anxiety for your husband in a way that regular date night never, ever, never, ever will. And so when both of you are doing something, that neither one of you have done before. So it's new for you and it's new for him. It could be anything. It could be a cooking class. It could be like an escape room, which I probably would never do. I feel like it's scary. It's not my thing. It could be anything. I don't know. You might like to hike. I do not. But maybe you're on a hiking trail. And when you're doing these type of activities, neither one of you are really performing. You're both sort of figuring that activity out at the same time. And the focus is on the activity, it's not on each other, right? And that low pressure shared attention, shared activity, that's what creates sort of a bond there. It creates a wonderful, good, positive memory that belongs to both of you, right? And so I want you to think about a strategic game too. I want you to think about that, okay? Something, um, a type of game with layers, a type of like a thinking game, right? Where thinking is involved. Because for a neurodiverse husband, a game that requires focus, a game that requires strategy and thinking, that actually feels exciting for him. Okay. It's not draining. Okay. And it gives his brain something to lock into or to lock on. Right. And, when you're thinking about, a game like that, that's something that you both can experience together, right? It becomes a bridge. It's sort of a connection, right? And you don't have to, manufacture or make up some kind of emotional connection. It becomes this wonderful memory for the both of you, right? And that is connection. Okay. So if you've been running, out of date ideas, think about doing something brand new that neither one of you have ever done before. Think about doing something like that, right? First, do that first. And, and then just start there. Start there. Okay. That was number 1, doing something brand new together. That was number 1. Number 2, gamify your connection. Okay. And this is one of my personal favorites. And simple games with clear rules. They have to be clear rules, I'm telling you, okay? Simple games with clear rules gives your husband's brain exactly what it needs, right? With the clear rules, it gives him structure, focus, that a little friendly competition, who's gonna win, and it gives him that dopamine hit once he wins, right? So, we're talking about your classic board games, right? Or card games. Like one of our favorites is Jenga. I don't know if you've ever heard of that game before. Um, and I'm going to throw that if you want to try that game. I'll throw a link to it in the description. But anyway, Jenga, you're playing this game, you're pulling that block out and you're watching the whole tower fall over, if you don't get it just right. If you're familiar with the game, you know what I'm talking about. Um, and that creates sort of this shared tension and laughter too. So um Uno is another of my it's one of my favorite games. Okay, I love Uno. And sometimes it gets a little heated, but in a very good way. And so my husband and I, we have had some of our best moments. We've had a lot of fun over the game of Uno, around the game of Uno. So now here's a deeper thing that happens when you do this. You're adding a sense of achievement together. You're doing something. You're achieving something together. You're doing this together. You're spending time together. And there's a beginning to it, there's a middle, and there's an end. And there's a winner. There's a winner, right? There's also a lot of laughter, yeah. And for a brain that sometimes struggles with like open-ended, I don't know, the word ambiguity of, you know, just talking and honey, let's talk and connect. For him, that's a little bit much. But when you're playing a game, um, it gives this time of connection a framework to for his mind to relax. Okay, all right, let's keep going. And so here it is. You don't need a fancy date night. I hear you. I want one. Okay, but I'm just saying, you don't need a fancy date night. All you need is a deck of cards and a Tuesday or a Friday night that you two can sit down and play Jenga or Uno or whatever kind of game that you want to play. Okay, let's keep going. The third way to get that dopamine hit and bond together is movement, and that may sound odd to you. And this one is really underrated. I think, like, here's an example: riding bikes together. Yeah, is one of those activities that just works beautifully in a neurodiverse marriage. And here's why. Um, Movement naturally increases dopamine and serotonin. That's just not for him, but for you as well. Um, but for your husband, being side by side with you, you two are riding your bikes and you're not face to face, that removes some of that social pressure, some of that anxiety, some of that, that sustained eye contact, if you were just sitting across from each other at a table. And it also sort of removes that emotional performance that he feels like he has to be on, he has to perform, even though you guys been married for forever, right? But he still feels that way. And here's the thing, you're moving in the same direction, literally and figuratively. I can't say that word today. And there's also something about rhythm. The repetition of pedaling, right? And the fresh air and just the just being together and writing. And that actually brings such a calm to the neurodiverse brain, to your husband. And a calm brain, if he's calm, it's an open brain, right? And that's when your husband, you might be riding along, you're doing this, and he might say something super sweet, out of nowhere. And it's because he's relaxed. His brain is calm. There's no social anxiety. There's no performance, um, when you're riding bikes. So don't underestimate bike riding. Don't, or maybe you can even take a walk in the neighborhood. That's something else. Or, if you're just kind of puttering around the yard, looking at the weeds and the flowers and all that, and you're just walking around. Um, you know, Movement in of itself is connection in disguise. So, okay, try that. Let's go on to the fourth way to bond. Um, Now, this fourth one, I have to kind of frame this one carefully, because it might feel a little counterintuitive. Okay, and so it's called parallel play. And it's a real legitimate form of bonding, um, especially in neurodiverse marriages. Okay. Um, Parallel play is when you and your husband are in the same place, right? But you're doing your own separate thing. So you can be in your family room, he can be watching his favorite show, and you could be reading a book, or you could be on your laptop working, right? But you're together, okay? And it's a peaceful, quiet. You're just together doing your own thing separately. And I want you to hear me when I say this, that this is not isolation. You're like, well, you're not together. Yeah, we're in the same room, but he's doing his thing and I'm doing mine. Okay. Um, and I hear you. And that's not giving up. You're not giving up on connection. I want you to hear that. But for a neurodiverse brain, being close to someone they love, without having to perform or engage, is actually a form of intimacy. Yeah. It says, I'm safe with you. I don't have to be on, I don't have to be in performance mode when I'm with you. So that's how he feels. So again, you may be doing your own thing, he's doing his own thing, but you're in the same space. For him, that can be a form of intimacy. You're like, oh, not quite for me, right? I hear you. I hear you. Okay, but we're learning together, right? So, the key is to really, dear friend, really kind of frame it correctly in your own mind, okay? So instead of sitting next to him, feeling invisible, feeling resentful, because you are. Um, what if you intentionally choose to see this as, my husband and I, we're just choosing to be in each other's presence because we enjoy each other. That's what we're going to do tonight. And in my mind, this is a form of connection. Okay. And, I'm thinking that parallel play can actually also sort of overlap into like shared screen time, like you're watching TV together, right? Um, and that kind of brings me to the fifth way to bond, right? And the fifth way is intentional movie night, or um, the whole Netflix binge series thing, right? And I want to be really specific about the word intentional, because this is not just you two sort of zoning out on the couch. You like turn the TV on, whatever. No, it's picking the two of you coming together, picking your favorite movie, or, that you've both seen, that you've both loved, or you're like, oh, maybe, honey, what do you think about this show? Oh, that may be a good one. Maybe we can do that one. Or, you decide to start a brand new series together. We do that. My husband and I, we do that often. So we'll choose one that we both think that we both will enjoy, and we commit to watching it together. So we don't watch it without, if one can't watch it next week, well, I'll wait. Or if he can't, I can't, and he can, we'll wait till we can watch it together and finish the series. So that creates something called shared language, right? And you have something to talk about a little bit, and the scenes, and oh, I can't believe she did that. Did that just happen? All of the stuff, right? Um, and that creates bonding. Yeah, that's considered connection. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I hear you, but it does. It still counts. It counts. It counts. It counts. So, for your husband, watching something together is low pressure. Um, it's familiar. It's really enjoyable. His brain is engaged without being um, socially taxed. You know, He doesn't have to perform. And when you both are laughing, or, at the same scene, or you're talking about, like, I cannot believe, wait, pause that. Can you believe blah, 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 right? And you both are looking at the same thing and you can't believe it, right? That's a moment of actual, genuine um, bonding. It's closeness. You guys are tuned in to the same thing, right? So don't write off, dear friend, don't write off couch night. Don't write it off like, oh, I guess we'll go watch a Netflix film. It counts. It counts, dear friend. This is your guy. It counts. So, um, you know what? And what's true, when it's done intentionally, it might be one of the most connected um, date nights you have. Yeah. So, let's just tie it all together. So just to bring it all together, if your date nights have been, just non-existent, or you just like feel like a total failure, I want you to know that the problem was never you. You're the one that's trying to, honey, we should go out on date nights. We should spend time together. We should choose one day a week. You were the one pushing that, and trying to make it happen, because you saw that you needed the connection. So it wasn't you. You were never the problem. It was never that you weren't romantic enough, or attractive enough, or creative enough. Here it is. It's that the traditional date night model was built for a different kind of brain. Okay. It was built for a different kind of brain. And when you meet your husband's brain with something brand new that you can do together, with movement, riding bikes, right? Or a fun game that causes him to think or concentrate. Um, just having this low pressure togetherness, you're not lowering your standards. You're not, for connection, you're not lowering your standards. You're finding the actual door to connection. You're finding the door to bonding, right? And I have something for you that it sort of fits right into this. And I actually created a book. Let me turn around and show you this. And it's fun. And it's called Love for Me, Word Search. I don't know if you can see it. Puzzles for Couples, Adults, and Teens. And it's just sort of this little fun little puzzle book. And it is exactly what it sounds like. And it's a little sweet, little low pressure bonding little activity for you and your guy, if you want to do something like that. And it's something that's simple you can do together. Um, for a quiet evening. Um, it's no pressure, just peace, just a little fun, circling. So if you're into word searches, this may be something. I'll put the link below in the description for that book. And if you're still trying to figure out what's really going on in your marriage, if you're sitting here thinking, Olivia, I don't even know if we are neurodiverse. I don't know what we are. I don't know if he's on the autism spectrum. I don't know if he has ADHD, OCD, or any of the other things. I don't know. Um, I just know something is different. Something's different. So if that's the case, I want you to take I have a free neurodiverse marriage blueprint quiz. And it takes less than 5 minutes, right? And it will give you some clarity, some real clarity on your marriage, right? And what type of marriage. So um, I'll leave the link below for the quiz as well as the word search puzzle book. Okay. Now, I want to hear from you. I do, dear friend. And I want to know which one of these 5 ways you're going to try first. Which one? Which one? And if you don't remember, you can always rewind the video. So just drop it in the comments. Which one are you going to try first? I read every single one of your comments. And if this video has helped you in any way, in the smallest way, if I caused you to chuckle or laugh, you know, let me know. And I hope you feel less alone on this journey. That's my goal. And, please share this video with a friend who might need it. You might be the reason that she finally feels understood. It may be because of you. And if you're new here to the channel, thank you for staying and watching to the end. Please subscribe. I don't want you to miss not one single video, okay? Because I make these videos for women just like you, dear friend, every single week. Well, I'll see you in the next video, and I want you to take care of yourself.